Hello and welcome to Herein Lies the Peace of God in the Awakening Together Sanctuary. The Awakening Together Sanctuary is an assembly of equals joined in common purpose, awakening to one true self. Within an appearance of many faiths, many cultures, and many symbols, we seek to discern one truth and to rest in its embrace. The host of Herein Lies the Peace of God is Reverend Jacquelyn and Glen, the President and Minister of Awakening Together. Our co-host is your favorite anarchist preacher, Reverend Glen interfaith scholar. A Course in Miracles says this about discerning one truth. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God.
Sing glory, glory, hallelujah. How wonderful thy holy name. Now I can see with God's own vision, and I see peace instead of pain. Yes, I see peace instead of pain. I can see peace instead of pain. Amen.
Thank you for that. How are we doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm really wonderful. I'm coming off of a high of a program. You might have heard about it. It's just before this one.
Yeah, well, I rarely make it to that program, but yeah, I've heard of it. It's called The Mighty Companions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got it.
Oh, have you enjoyed chapter 9?
I have.
Tell people what we do in Here
Well,
Lies the Peace of God.
I would love to do that. And what we do is we study this book right here. I don't know if you can see it because I don't have a self view on. Yeah, right there. The keys to NTI.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got this brand new copy. I bought it in From Awakening Together's bookstore.
Wow.
But Glenn and I talked about what we wanted to do, and we wanted to do NTI, and we determined that that what we wanted to do was the keys to NTI, which is subtitled an abridged version. Glenn, with your permission, there's like a 2-paragraph introduction to the keys, and I would like to read that. Thank you.
Please.
This is an abridged version of the Holy Spirit's interpretation of the New Testament, A Course in Understanding and Acceptance, also known as NTI, New Testament Interpretation. NTI is a metaphysical interpretation that points to non-dualism or oneness as divine truth. It was received from within by an average woman who read the Bible after asking for truth to be revealed to her. She promised to release what she had been taught. Excuse me, this is an important line, so I want to read it right. She promised to release what she had been taught to believe in order to learn what God would have her know. NTI is a teaching about our one divine self. It helps us realize self by pointing out obstacles to that realization and providing simple practices that help us transcend those obstacles. Many people find NTI helpful and easy to understand. However, no teaching is for everyone. This abridged version is provided as a sampling of the wisdom taught in NTI. It is made available to help you discover if NTI is right for you. The chapters in this version are the chapters most often called favorites by students of NTI. We simply call them the keys. And so the contents, of course, are Luke, Acts, Galatians, and Revelation. So thank you for letting me. Yeah, when I open my new book today, I'm like, oh, I love that. But I love that. That line is wonderful. She promised to release what she had been taught to believe in order to learn what God would have her know. Isn't that perfect?
Let's start every day with that. Put that on your mirror. May I not, let's do that. Let's actually do that today. I think NTI, of Course in Miracles, really do teach the practice of doing this. That's why people, you said, many people find this really easy to read because it's so directly, it's like, oh, I do that too. Or I can see, where I want to correct this, you can see it. So I forget whose turn is it to read?
I think that I think I'm reading this
Okay.
evening. And
Great.
does that sound right? Rev Yolanda, Cindy, yes.
Yeah.
All concur.
We have a quorum. always consensus.
All right, so here we go. So I'm going to read it. What we're reading is NTI Luke chapter 9. That's on page 19 in the keys. It's on page 144 in the regular NTI. Okay. All right. Here we go. Luke chapter 9. Everyone who reads my word, listens to my word, and practices my word, teaches my word. There can be no exception. You who are reading this now are my holy teacher. Do not let this make you afraid. Do not worry about what is expected of you based on this assignment. Nothing is expected of you except one thing, that you listen to me. Do not worry where you are to go, what you are to do, what you're to say, or to whom. Do not worry how you are to teach. I may have you teach without a single spoken word. Give no thought to the future. Give no thought to how you are to teach or when or where. Only give thought to listening to me and practicing as I ask you to practice. In this way, you do teach, and the lesson you teach is heard throughout the world. There's fear in your mind, and so it will bring doubt that you do as I ask you to do. It will bring doubt that you are the one I asked to do these things. Do not listen to your doubt. It is to you that I am speaking. You who are reading these words without exception for any reason, you are the one. You do not understand the power in your mind. That power is unspeakable in your world, for it cannot be described. But know this. Every thought that you accept teaches within the mind of man. The single mind that you are is taught through the thoughts that you agree to think, and this is how you are to teach the world. Although I may guide you to speak, it is not through your speaking that you teach. Although I may guide you to go or do, it is not through your going or doing that you teach. To speak to those or to go here or to do that will be to limit your teaching to a few. You who are unlimited within yourself cannot be limited by restrictions such as these. So it must not be through your speaking or your going or your doing that you teach. Every thought that you think is heard literally around the world. The consciousness of man is shaken by your every thought. And so it is through thought that you teach, no matter what you're saying or doing, and no matter where you are. And so I say to you again, dear teacher, listen to me, remember my words, and practice all that I say. The fish that you eat feeds a multitude of men. You are the Christ, because the Christ of God is within you, and it is Christ that is your true self. This is the health within. This is the light that shines its healing rays throughout your mind, shining away all sickness in every form. Peace be with you, my brother, for you are the Blessed One. Put your faith with me, focused upon your reality. It is this reality we seek to remember. Do not be afraid of what must come before you are to remember. There is nothing that can hurt when your mind stays focused with me. I am your constant companion, and I lead you through all things. A vision of light is within your mind. To know this light, you must only ask to remember it, for the light is with you always. If you feel afraid or doubtful or desperate for love, all that you need to do is quiet yourself and ask for light. It cannot fail to appear within your mind at your request. It is always there to comfort you and to shelter you. Do not turn away from the light. Do not be afraid that you nag it with your request. It is there for you, to serve you through your every moment of need. You will not be healed by following the ways that make sense to you. Following what makes sense to you has brought you to the point of needing healing, and so it cannot be healing itself. To be healed of the thoughts that are foreign but seem natural to your mind, you must put your healing in my hands. Give yourself over to me. Let go of any resistance you feel towards this thought. Remember, the result of giving yourself to me is your own healing. You will be returned to your Father, so rejoice. The time is now. Place yourself fully and completely in my hands. I have asked you to be a teacher of my word, and I am grateful for your willingness to teach as I ask. And now you must listen to the secret of teaching. A teacher is a student who practices all that he teaches, knowing fully that the message he shares is also for him. In this way, anyone may be a teacher of my word, for anyone may choose to be the student, and the student is the teacher. For the teacher comes through the student in order that the student may learn. Always remember that as the teacher, you are the student. So all things are given to you for your learning. In this way, see all things as an opportunity to learn and to practice, and be grateful for all things. There is nothing that will be placed in your path that is not a gift from me. See it as your gift, and you are blessed indeed. To be my teacher, you must let my word be first in your mind in all things. This is the perspective you shall hold. Through holding this perspective in willingness and trust, you shall know what to do through me. There you have it.
Oh, I know. You know, it's just short of taking you by the collar. You know, it's listen to me. Listen, practice this. Be mindful. We can do this together. It's like it's so. I keep saying, this is a lot of a pep talk, and I love her, for that in chapter 9. Nothing is expected of you except that you do this one thing. Listen to me. That's all of, and Regina's a really good example of that. It's like we have NTI because she goes, I'm listening. It's such a very practical. It's like, oh, you want to know what's going on? Listen and watch your focus. Does a very good job of that. Parts that stood out for me: do not listen to your doubt. And that's again this sense of like knowing that discernment that she goes, learn who's talking in your where these worlds lead to. Learn to recognize quickly the world that this thought or whatever is building and outlooking. We can do that. And she says, yeah, we can. You do not understand, and she do not understand the power of your mind. I think that speaks directly to ID. I talked about ID for about an hour, how we identify ourselves, but it also speaks directly to how we organize society and how we raise children. It's like what we think we're for, what we think, how we make decisions. So much is based on how we construct this world. You don't understand the power in your mind. The power is unspeakable in your world, for it cannot be described. But know this: every thought you accept teaches from within your own mind. That's so. It's like if everybody, I try to take responsibility for my own mind, and could say that there was periods of my life where I was kind of my own mind kind of frightened me. I was kind of afraid of my own mind, and I can't say that anymore. My mind, my peaceful, my state of being is a respite. My presence, or the way this practice, this eternal way, every thought that I accept teaches. And that's why I begin every letter for my Wednesday grouping as teachers of God. To walk around is like the teachers of God. Yeah. And to see and identify as, she's a marvelous in this. The second, she talks about the single mind here. Every thought that you think is heard literally around the world. That's good to remember. You're the Christ, because the Christ is God within you, and it is Christ that is your true self. You know, and I hear Christ anymore. I hear the Anointed One. You know, and when I hear the Anointed One, and the typical thing is like, you have a task to do. You've been anointed to do this thing. You have purpose and, you know, presence. That, you know, it's sort of like, that's what is mattering. You know, the world. That's what this perfection that we are is mattering. The world, I believe, a vision of light. She asks us to think about ourselves as a vision of light within your mind. Ask to remember, do not turn away from the light. Do not be afraid that you nag it with your requests. That I laughed when I first read it, and I laughed when I read it again. I laughed when I read it again, because it's like, oh, it's that fundamental thing with us and God. It's like, I'm such a little bother. I would just be bothering, you know. No. I would just be bothering God. I was just, you know. It's, and it's just a reminder. I just how actually normal that is. You're the Christ. Don't worry about, you're not nagging me. You know, I want to talk to you. You'll be healed by following the ways that make sense to you, which is why it's listen to the voice that likes you, not here's the outline that works every single. There's, you know, it isn't an outline. You know, it's not passed out like that. That's why I often think about this as like I am so oddly specific for what is mine to do. You know, there doesn't need to be more than one me. You know, there isn't even a me here to want or not want, but there's this connection and this network that is the outpicturing of God that I get to participate in this learning device. Remember, always remember that as a teacher, you are the student. So all things are given to you for your learning. And I really do live that way. I just do. To be my teacher, you must let my word first be in your mind in all things. This is a perspective you shall hold. Through holding this perspective in willingness and trust, you'll know what to do through me. It's like this, you'll know what to do. You'll know what to do. What an incredible promise is that. I think it's, you know, absolutely a pep talk that you can do. You know, we can do this. You know, grab my hand. You know, we'll you know, we can do this. I just loved it. How was chapter 9 for you? How did you?
It's lovely. It was really funny when I was reading it earlier, and what prompted me to get this piece. I'm really not trying to sell these. It looks like what prompted me to get this version was my old version of NTI. It's just so marked up, but I'm on my way to marking up this one. But as I was reading, I was really struck by. I'm like, this sounds familiar, and not because I've read it 100 times in NTI, but it sounds more. Anyway. What struck me was it sounds like the manual for teachers from A Course in Miracles.
Oh,
right.
It's a very similar tone. Really.
Well, and
my God.
It's like, and that starts with. I'm trying to see if I got a copy of that somewhere. The manual for teachers. Here's a version. Starts with. I had this. I had it up electronically earlier.
My camera is literally sitting on my version of A Course in Miracles.
Here I go. That's right. I got it. It starts with. So here are the beginning contents. Who are God's teachers? Who are their pupils? What are the levels of teachings? What are the characteristics of God's teachers? I mean, it's absolutely. Sorry for talking up here. But it's answering those same questions. It's like
Very
it
good.
answers who is a teacher of God? How does the teacher of God teach? Who are their students? All of that is right here.
What perspective do you need to have?
Yes, it's all right here. And I was just shocked. I'm like, oh my God, it's saying virtually the same thing, of course, in a different way. But and again, the answer here, I probably should have left it out. I might want to refer back to it, but it's the same as the one we read. And as you know, as you all may be aware, Glenn and I started this program, Herein Lies the Peace of God, by reviewing A Course in Miracles manual for teachers.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is answered here the same way it was answered there. Who is a teacher of God? Everyone.
Those who say they are. No?
Yes. And of course, Miracle said everyone who wants to be one. And this says basically the same one. Everyone, the same thing. Everyone who reads my word, listens to my word, and practices my word, teaches my word. There can be no exception. And of course, you know, I mean, the temptation is to read this and go, oh, you mean Regina? It says, no. You who are reading this now are my holy teacher. In case there's any doubt, it's you. And then it says that again later here. But it really is and then it talks about, okay, so then what is teaching? And teaching is the thoughts that you agree to accept. That's it. When you do that, you're teaching the mind of God. And why is this true? Because there's a single mind, as you said, Glenn. There's one mind. And so you are teaching the mind to either accept the unacceptable, the unbelievable, right? You're either teaching it to accept the false, or you're teaching it to accept the truth. This is how it's taught. It's not like out of my lips and into your ears, and now now Glenn knows what Jacquelyn knew a few minutes ago. That's just not how it works. And it's interesting because last week when we looked at in clarifying the teachings, we were looking at the fact that if you will permit me to go a bit far afield here. Regina said, you don't really want to approach any course or any retreat or any book or any teaching as if you're going to learn from it. You're just paying attention for the right mind, pointing out something to you as you're reading, as you're listening, as you're contemplating. The idea is the insight comes from within you. The clarity comes from within you, right? So everything else, teachers, books, courses are like catalysts. So they're just the thing that stirs it up in here and gets you, right? So it's not like there's this dogma that's being taught. That's not what's being taught. What's happening is the light is being turned on. It's the spreading of the light within the one mind, as it says elsewhere. That's what's going on here. So when I teach, it's not so I can teach Glenn or Yolanda or Sina or Cindy or Chris or anybody else. I teach so that light can begin to grow, for lack of I'm thinking spatially, within this little corner of the one mind, right? The light goes, starts to shine from this corner of the mind. Pardon me. So what's being discussed here is kind of like the code, right? You've heard Regina's teaching about the code, and so it's like what am I strengthening in the one mind? Am I strengthening truth, or am I covering truth by focusing on wrong-minded thoughts?
Right.
And that's what it says. You don't understand the power in your mind. That power is unspeakable in your world, for it cannot be described. But know this, every thought that you accept teaches within the mind of man. That's what teaches. It's all that teaches. We make, use symbols to try and convey that to other people. But again, what we're conveying, what we're doing is we're teaching this one, always teaching this one. The single mind that you are is taught through the thoughts that you agree to think. And this is how you are to teach the world. And I love this, the way this is, okay, a couple things. Let's see. And so it is through thought that you teach, no matter what you're saying or doing, and no matter where you are, you're always teaching. You're always teaching, but by what thought you agree to give believing attention to. And then this is exquisite the way this is, phrased. The fish that you eat feeds a multitude of men. It's not like the fish you cook, the fish you give away, the fish, none of they prepare. It's the fish you eat. What is it that I'm eating, right? That then illumines the one mind. That's it. There's not a you and a me, a me that's teaching and a you that's listening, or vice versa. That's just now how it works. What are you eating? What are you accepting? That teaches.
You are what you eat. Comes to
quite literally here, right?
Right?
I love it.
Just like what we were talking about that the other day. How this is versus a transactional world, the broken world we were talking about. This is in response to, or an answer to, our belief that in a broken world, our belief in trying to get ahead, our belief. This is the answer to that, and this is the and I hope everybody recognizes this is the story of the loaves and the fishes. Is the feeding of the 5,000 is where Luke chapter we are right now. But I started you.
No, it's good. Well, and because that's actually it feels like a a breaking point in the chapter, not a breaking point, but that's the only words that'll come in this head. I love this again. It's like, if you want this light, it's yours. If you want this understanding, it's yours, because it's there always. So all you have to do, top of page 21, all that you need to do is quiet yourself and ask for light. It cannot fail to appear within your mind at your request. It's just impossible that light, where are you? Are you busy? Can and it's by the same token, you're not bothering anybody. You're not, it's like, if that's all you do every day, all day, good on you, right? If you feel afraid or doubtful or desperate for love, all that you need to do is quiet yourself and ask for light. It cannot fail to appear within your mind at your request. It is always there to comfort you and to shelter you. And then it's like, just in case you're confused between that voice, the voice of the light, the voice of truth, and the voice that doesn't like you. Let's be clear, we're not talking about the thinking mind. Mind is not being used here to describe your intellect. Yeah, it's not, let me figure it out, and then surely that's what God wants for me, what God would have me do, or even what would Jesus do? Although that could be helpful, that could soften the heart. But I mean, it's just not, it's not up to me to figure out what's to be done. Because frankly, nothing need be done. I just need to accept the atonement for myself, just like A Course in Miracles told me, right? I just need to accept at-one-ment for myself. I just need to accept the love of the one mind for myself. Who am I teaching? Myself. There is only one mind. But at any rate, it says, you will not be healed by following the ways that make sense to you. Following what makes sense to you has brought you to the point of needing healing. And so it cannot be healing itself. Or your stinking thinking got you here. Don't think it's going to get you out, right?
I know. That's straight out of the 12 steps right here, because your best thinking got you here.
That's right.
That's
right.
Yeah.
And then it's just so crystal clear. It's like, okay, so to be healed of thoughts that are foreign but seem natural. You must put your healing in my hands. So again, you cannot think your way out of this. Those are not actually your thoughts, the ones you call your thoughts. Those, even though they seem familiar because you've relied on them every day of your life, those aren't really your thoughts. And to the extent that you continue to rely on those thoughts, that's the extent that you will continue to suffer. That's not healing. Those are the thoughts that have to be put aside. Yeah. And now you must listen to the secret of teaching. I love that. Now hear this. A teacher is a student, not just who listens, right? Not who just, a teacher is a student who practices all that he teaches, knowing fully that the message he shares is also for him, who practices all that he teaches. If you don't practice it, I mean, don't bother. It's just,
I know. Integrity matters.
And this is, this is why it matters. This is, okay. In this way, anyone may be a teacher of my word, for anyone may choose to be the student, and the student is the teacher because the teacher comes through the student in order that the student may learn. The teacher's not confused. Let's see, there's 14 people here. Which one should I come through today? No. The teacher is inner wisdom. So when I start to speak, inner wisdom comes through these lips and teaches me. It teaches me. And guess what that does? That spreads the light within the one mind. That is teaching. It comes through me. It doesn't come to me and then I transfer it to you. It's when I agree to be the student. That's when it's, it's right. That's when it's right.
I choose the second place to gain the first.
Yeah, there you go. And then the perspective that you must hold. To be my teacher, you must let my word be first in your mind in all things. This is a perspective you shall hold. Through holding this perspective and willingness and trust, you shall know what to do through me. You must let my word be first in your mind in all things. It's just, that pivot. Remembering that pivot every time, not what does Jacquelyn want, right? How would you have me see this? How would you have me see this? How would you have me see this? So that's what I read in there, and I just think I was just blown away. I just think it's dynamite stuff.
It's a big old. I think I was just so uplifted. It's a big old pep talk. It's very much you can do this. You're built for this. You're powerful. You're powerful, your mind, and you don't give yourself enough credit, or your ability. You can naturally do this. We talk ourselves out of our greatness or our divinity or our abilities all the time.
Well, in fact, yeah, you can do this. It's the only thing you ever do.
Yeah.
The only thing you're ever doing is teaching. The only question is, what do you want to teach?
Yeah.
Gosh, that sounds familiar too. That sounds like Course in Miracles study.
Teach what you want to learn, she says.
Well, yeah, but we're always teaching.
Yeah.
We're always teaching. That's the thing.
And realize that even that's just the way it is, whether how conscious we are of it as human beings or in this experience or not. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't just apply, that idea of we're always only ever teaching doesn't just apply to me because I'm conscious of my, what I'm teaching. It applies to everything and everyone at all times, no matter who's talking or what's happening, whether you're playing a baseball game or, or whatever you're doing. She's talking about the nature of existence, how we operate.
And that's why it doesn't matter what you do.
Right.
Yeah, says that over and over and over again. It doesn't matter what you do. It matters. That's right. Wrong focus. It matters what you're accepting really here.
Because that's the momentum. That's what's built upon. What is accepted is true. That's what is out pictured is what we believe is what the one mind is, operating with. That's what we experience. Dude, that's why we have a learning device to find out what, how that's the loop, to change. If we're honest, and she goes, yeah, you're just an awful driver. You let me drive, let Jesus take the wheel.
Careful, I'll start singing that one.
I- you know, because I can, you know, and you want it this way. You know, your desire is to be in oneness and to be and experience truth. Our desire is this. We're not satisfied doing it another way. We're not this you know way of, you know, getting mine and singular and the singular. It just isn't satisfying. It doesn't prove to be satisfying. But we got about 20 minutes. I'd love to hear how this chapter 10 9 chapter 9 Luke 9 settled for y'all. I would really enjoy that.
Hey everybody, it's your turn.
You can use your hand or unmute. Alrighty, Cindy.
Starting to feel like every page is the same in NTI, which is you are love, case closed. But and I was trying to figure out whether it was Ephesians or where it was, but this whole chapter to me just reminds me of the 3 words, world reflects mind. And that's been very, very useful for me. You know, it's been helping me invert the whatever experience I'm having, you know, even as I watch, you know, whatever quote unquote Cindy problem the Jor is having, just that sitting there remembering this is happening because there was a thought believed in the mind. That's period. I can allow that thought to come up and let it go, choose not to believe it anymore and create a new experience. And for me, this is talking about the thoughts that are happening now, but so much of what's going on in my world is remembering that everything I'm experiencing right now is a thought that was believed yesterday or last week or 50 years ago. And as it comes up, I can change my mind about believing it. And so I can stop believing the experience, remembering it was just a thought believed. And it's so beautiful to go and see it here with these words. And even the fishes, if we're going hungry, it's because we asked for it, you know, and the moment we stop asking for it and we clear that out, we receive the gifts of God. This is just so happy to be here and to share this teaching. So yeah, that's where it was for me. World reflects mind. I love those 3 words very much.
We love you very much. Thank you, Cindy.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's funny how we often how we seem to encounter that from the from the past tense perspective, right? It's like, oh yeah, I'm experiencing this because, but going forward, go ahead, Glenn.
No, that's how like group synthesis works as well. You know, and that's how like you fall in and out of groups as well, because you can see your share thoughts, you know, with this group or that group. Then you're following along and having the same experiences with groups of people who have these kind of thoughts, you know. And I often say that, you know, the thoughts in our head is often like almost like trees in a forest. It just tells us where we are in the forest. We've wandered off into, you know, negative land or whatever like that, and we can just like recognize the thoughts in your head, recognize the attention. We can have, our minds are powerful. We can change if we find ourselves in you know, oh my God, and, you know, trying to prove that the world is broken and I can't have what I want. We catch ourselves there again, and we go, no, I don't want to teach this. I don't want to believe this. I'm going to take action on what I know is true. You know, the centering and moving toward, you know, listen to me, listen to, you know, this inner voice that there is a voice that knows and loves and does work with others really well. And you know, there is, you know, it isn't just with this awful one way. No matter how I can't reality. The way I often the Sufis were really good at this, is I don't have to construct reality, and it doesn't need my efforting in order to exist. And I don't know how, but it's like I always thought that I was contributing to reality. I'm not. I'm contributing to illusion if I'm doing anything, and I allow reality. I allow what is real and true. I only, and I can't help to be on the side of the creation of what is real, but it's like, wow, to realize, to catch your own sense of mindful habits in that direction is absolutely, marvelous, and then you start traveling with people and having experiences in which that old betrayal and heartbreak doesn't happen again and again and again, because you've changed your mind and you're not pursuing and paying attention to the things that bring you suffering, me suffering, and things like, oh, turns out when I do these other things and I'm true to myself and my words match my, beliefs, and my body matches my the integrity, and we were talking about, this momentum that Cindy was talking about begins to happen. You do it again and again and again, and it has fruits because of the same thing being done over and over and over again. We turn our attention. We turn that habit of just turning your attention, just turn your attention, just turn your attention. And that habit has results. And the result is the experience of the reality. Wow, this beautiful, incredible, this thing that doesn't have to be. We talked about that earlier today. But I could talk about all day like that. I'd love to hear what we got, how
Cindy has her hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to say thanks, Glenn, because it just really reminded me, and it helps me. One of the reasons I spend so much time here is the teaching, like even the recent clarifying the teachings when Regina, very clearly listed, this is ego, this is truth, right? So, there was a period of time where I was a spiritualist minister, and you couldn't tell me that, I wasn't talking to dead people. Everybody around me was talking to dead people, right? There was a belief, and our shared belief reflected a world where all of that was going on. And there was a period of time where I hung out with Jim Self and Mastering Alchemy, and everybody was channeling Melchizedek and sitting in sacred geometry, and all of that was real because that community is reflecting that world. And I was a good Christian healer for a while, and as long as you laid on hands and everybody in that world was being healed or not being healed, or me or them, and that belief structure was reflecting that world. Mm-hmm. And it always bothered me, because I moved in and out of so many different worlds over the last X number of decades, how each one of those worlds was real within the world, in the believing. But the problem was that in each of those circles of worlds, there was judgment. There was always a me and an other. And in this teaching where we are now, we're literally very clearly, I could hear Regina and this teaching and Jesus here and the Holy Spirit telling me, if there's a me and an other, a good and a bad, then it ain't me. And then there's like this period. And so this is literally saying, world reflects mind, 1. 2, if you're seeing a me and a you, then you're not listening to me. So let it go. And everything you were just saying reminded me of that. And so thanks for giving me the opportunity to say that out loud again, because literally just that one thought, right? It changes everything.
That focus, that getting a handle on that mindful awareness of realizing that the power is mind, that where I focus and my attention is actually in my power, that I'm not at the will of something that is outside of me, that my attention is my ability. I think it was real game changing for me to admit or to be able to experience or how useful a powerful mind was, instead of it being afraid of my powerful mind. Because I think a lot of us are afraid of how powerful our minds are. Perhaps. What do you think?
I don't know.
We're afraid of our light. We aren't afraid of our darkness. We're afraid.
Yeah. I've heard that. I think that the average Joe, or maybe the average Joe on the spiritual path, really does not have a conception of the fact that, although it's said all the time, the world is a reflection of your mind. And as here in chapter 9, Luke chapter 9 is saying, you teach the mind of God, right? You teach the mind of the Son of God, at the very least, all of the time, based on the thoughts that you choose to entertain.
Mm-hmm.
I think the average bear has no conception of that power, none, whether on or off the spiritual path. And that's the power of thought. That's the power of light. That's the power. So if I don't think that I don't know how you can be afraid of that power if you have no conception that you have that power. So I don't know about that. I've heard that quote and it's sweet, but I just don't think people just, I don't think we understand that that's what we're doing, that we are literally creating the world that we see.
They call it some other agency. So it's a lack of sense of responsibility for our own power.
Absolutely. Because I mean, it's like, we teach The Secret. We teach how to manifest,
Prosperity gospel.
We're manifesting. You know what? You are manifesting. Look around you. Right?
Yeah.
So
you've got everything that you ask for, right?
Everything that you ask for, and we just don't understand that that's the path. Because in this world, it seems absurd to say that you can do that, and it says that here. It's just you do not understand the power in your mind. That power is unspeakable in your world, for it cannot be described. It's fantastical. That's we call that magic in this world. And so I don't think that that we understand that. Listen, I want to visit that last. I felt the prompt to visit that last paragraph again.
Okay.
It's verses 57 through 62. To be my teacher,
yeah,
you must. And when you're using a word like must, I mean that's rare. Usually Holy Spirit's like, whatever you want to do, man. Whatever you want to do, it's cool.
No.
But this is you must. So you want to be my teacher. You want to know who are God's teachers, just like A Course in Miracles, right? Who are God's teachers? Who are their pupils? How is healing accomplished? You wanted the answer to all those questions. I'm here to give you the answer, and the answer is this: to be my teacher, you must let my word be first in your mind in all things. That's how to teach for right-minded energy, for right-minded consciousness, to let that word be first. A Course in Miracles says, ego always speaks first. Well, that's not entirely true. That's true for a while. That's true till you get, the 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we were doing that last time we were here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Till you start to get the hang of it. So you need to your first thought that you agree to accept must be a right-minded thought. It might not be the first one that appears in your mind, but the one that you accept must be right-minded, must be right-minded energy. If you want to be my teacher, not a teacher, you're a teacher when you always wake up in the morning or always. But if you want to be my teacher, and of course I don't mean Jacquelyn, I mean my as in inner wisdom, Holy Spirit, Christ. If you want to be my teacher, then that has to be the first thought that you consciously accept, right? To be my teacher, you must let my word be first in your mind in all things. And like you said a while ago, I'll be second. So however that goes. So Christ can be first, right?
Oh yes, oh yeah.
I assume the second place, so Christ can assume the first. So first is first in importance. Might not even be first in time, but it's first in importance. This has got to be your guiding light
Mhm.
if you want to be a teacher of true wisdom. And remember, who are we teaching? This one. So I can't go, I can't just be lazy all day long and just accept those habit thoughts and well, they'll get theirs, and boy, am I glad about it. I mean, I can't hang out there and teach right-mindedness to the one mind of the Son of God. I can't do that.
There'll be conflict, and they'll just be conflicted.
Yeah,
They're
it's just
creating
it's
conflict
not gonna work.
by doing something else and saying and believe. It just creates conflict, and we can see that. So, just a reminder that this part in Luke is where he says, "Foxes and dens and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." This is where it says, "Let the dead bury their dead, but go and proclaim the kingdom of God." This is the chapter where she says, "No one puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God." Do what is yours. It's like absolutely so clear that this is like, if you're going to be mine,
Well, you're here, so you might as well do the work. I mean, you're the one who has the wherewithal. You're the one sitting here in this seat looking at these teachings.
Mhm.
Choose wisely. That's all. Choose wisely. The choice is yours.
Yeah, don't try to take care of. There isn't things that has to be taken care of. There isn't an orders or levels or anything at all. It's if you know where the truth is, you will go, and you will look. You will put your attention there. If you're interested in truth, you will put your attention there.
Right, and the choice is yours.
Yeah.
And that's the power. That's the power.
And the results will be yours. You'll be able to see where you have your attention. I can tell you where I have my attention because I know what's happening in my life. I have found the love of my life. I have everything. I'm happy. I'm really, really profoundly happy. Who gets to say that? Who says, I've discovered happiness for my life? Who gets to say that?
We do.
And we do, because it's possible, because it's absolutely, imminently not special, not difficult. It is worth doing, and we're naturally inclined to do it.
That's right. And listen, you said that, and it just brings me back to this introduction that we read to the keys.
Yeah.
They said NTI was received from within by an average woman who read the Bible after asking for truth to be revealed to her.
Mm-hmm.
She promised to release what she had been taught to believe in order to learn what God would have her know. And that's basically what we're being led to here as well. Just let go of those thoughts that you don't want anymore. Let go of the ugliness in the world. Let go of all that.
Mm-hmm.
Just let go and let my word be first in your mind in all things. And the paragraph before it says that. It says, always remember that as the teacher, you're the student. So all things are given to you for your learning. In this way, see all things as an opportunity to learn and to practice, and be grateful for all things. There is nothing that will be placed in your path that's not a gift from me. See it as your gift. You are blessed indeed. You got it. I mean, that's a secret. Oh my God, here's another one and another one. And oh my God. That's what you were just saying. I'm so happy. Who gets to say that?
Mm-hmm.
That's the practice.
Mm-hmm.
We get to say that
Mm-hmm.
because everything is an opportunity to learn and to practice and to be grateful for all things. Everything is a gift to reveal to us the truth of who we are. And just in seeing that that's what's really going on here, that is the gift. In seeing that and believing that, that's the acceptance of the gift of happiness.
It's fun, joy, excite, and what is revealed when I'm not chasing down fixing a broken world? What happens to my attention if I don't have to fix you and fix the world and everything like that? Suddenly there's joy. suddenly there's play. Suddenly there's interest and expansion and peace and, you know, if I let it, if we let it, but you know, we can. Speaking of that, what do you say?
Go? Good time.
It is that time.
You've been listening to Herein Lies the Peace of God with Reverend Jacquelyn Eckert and Reverend Glen Ganaway. To find out more about Jacquelyn and to donate to Awakening Together Sanctuary, go to www.awakening-together.org. To find out more about Glen and to donate to the Mighty Companions Ministries, go to www.glenganaway.com. That's GLENGANAWAY.com.
I can see peace instead of pain. Amen.
Alrighty. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks for hanging out
being
with us.
here.